You'll have to start over, Susan.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon and welcome everyone. I'd like to call to order this meeting. And moving forward with our agenda, I'd like to call for a motion to accept the agenda. Just Tracy, thank you. A second. Barbara, thank you. A declaration of pecuniary interest? None. Thank you. If everybody had a chance to review the minutes previously sent from our previous meeting, if there's no edits, changes, I'd like to ask for a motion to accept those minutes. And that's Tracy again, thank you, and Barbara for seconding, thank you. Okay, so looking at my agenda here, Donna, I have some things listed. Deputations.
Okay. There are none.
Okay, correspondence.
Again, none to bring forward.
Okay, and new business, anyone?
I'd like to speak to 7.1 if possible. Their change of representation of the Kawartha Lakes Culture and Heritage Network is required.
Okay.
Staff will be bringing forward a report to council as the positions are in appointments of council, and so therefore it'll be dealt with before the next meeting.
Okay, are there any questions, anybody? Nope. Okay, thanks, Donna. Moving forward now to the resignation of Diane Lister. Would you like to speak to that, Donna?
Sure.
Thanks.
So Diane Lister was appointed by council representative as artist at large for the municipality. Unfortunately for us, she sold her lovely home in Bobcaygeon and has moved, and therefore no longer fits the residency requirements to sit on the task force. So there is a vacancy now on the task force. It's up to the task force committee members to discuss whether they want to advertise and fill the vacancy, or whether they want to continue with the vacancy at play. Terms of reference state that the task force can continue with 5 members. So it's not mandatory for it to be filled. So it's up to the task force if they want to do a call.
So just to clarify, Donna, if another person was to come on board, what capacity would they come on board as?
They would come on board as artist at large.
Okay. What are everyone's thoughts on that moving forward? Okay, so no thoughts means we just leave as is? Oh, there's a thought, Pat.
In terms of moving forward on a timeline, if we decide to advertise for the position, does that stall any further progression of the activities, or can we continue with the vacancy while it's being advertised?
As far as I'm aware, we can continue because we still have the minimum of 5. If there's a 3-week advertising period, then there'd be interviews, then confidential council or report, and then the appointment. So, but as far as I certainly can check with the clerk's department, but in my last discussions with them, it doesn't stop us continuing if you advertise or not.
Personally, I would be prepared to just move ahead with the 5 that we have. Any thoughts on that, Barbara?
Just a question. Diane was our liaison with the city staff regarding the RFP for the contracting. I'm not sure when her resignation was given. Was she able to complete that work, or would the new person be expected to jump into that position, or should we be looking at a current member to fill that liaison position if it's still needed?
Oh, no, it's her role as a task force rep on the RFP process is complete. Later in the meeting, we have at 7.3 is the introduction of our successful candidate. And so, yeah, the RFP process is complete. And so Diane's role in that way is finished.
Okay. I think I agree with Susan that we really are okay to continue as we are. I think it would be really difficult for somebody to jump in several weeks from now when we're really deep in the process. Since we don't have to fulfill that liaison requirement, I think we're good to go ahead.
That was a good question, Barb. Thanks for that. And I agree. Anybody else?
Yeah, I just have a question. Donna, what do you perceive as the timeline that this committee is going to be together?
Well, the study the report is to be in front of council by June of 2022. So
many months.
Yeah. So what would that be? About 7-8 months?
Well, my opinion would be that we move forward and we advertise that there's a vacancy. If there is somebody in the community that's interested in getting on board, then I think we should give that opportunity to the citizens of City Ware of the Lakes. But move forward with our agenda.
Well, I think we can move forward with our agenda either way, Pat. I think we need to make a decision whether there's going to be a call to fill that vacant position as the artist position. So currently, the discussion now is that as Barbara and I've both spoken to, is that we're not going to do the call. We're just going to move forward. So. What does everybody else think here? Any other thoughts? Okay, so Pat, how would you feel if we put forward? I'm assuming we're going to need a motion for this, Donna?
Task force committees don't technically do motions, they do recommendations that then need to be moved and seconded.
Okay.
Because everything goes then for council's decision.
Okay.
Right. So
what are the thoughts around the table if with the recommendation that we don't replace the vacant position and we move forward? What are the thoughts on that moving forward with that recommendation?
I would second that recommendation, Susan.
Pat, can you live with that recommendation?
Yes, I can live with it.
Okay, that's just sounding really positive. So where are we now, Donna?
Well, I guess then your recommendation would be to not fill the vacancy as of the task force terms of reference indicating that it can consist of a minimum of 5 members.
Okay, so sorry.
No. So with the 2 councillors and the 4 existing members, that gives you your 6. So you're within your minimum.
Okay, so is Athol, are you there?
Susan, he's not allowed to participate in any formal way at this time because the report needs to go to council.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to move forward with that recommendation. Okay. Is there anything further you need from us, Donna, on that conversation?
Thus far, no.
Okay.
No.
And further to Diane's resignation, I'd like to suggest we send her a nice thank you.
Okay.
Okay, now Donna, does that come from the city or can that come from ourselves as a task force?
I would assume that the city will do one through the clerk's
Okay.
department. And so if you also wanted to write a letter as chair or a letter on behalf of the task force, I think that would be more than adequate. That'd be great.
Okay. Okay, so moving on. This is 7.3. This is a long awaited moment. This is many thanks to everybody around the table. This is, I particularly feel this is a huge moment. So Donna, take it away.
So Julie Whelan, if you want to come off of, there she is, perfect. So today we are officially bringing forward the successful consultant, successful candidate in our RFP process, which was Nordicity and their subcontractor Giamo, which is the architectural firm. So I'd like to introduce Julie Whelan, and then she is going to take it away from here, introduce her team, and she has a sort of a small kickoff agenda to look forward to. So welcome, Julie.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And Stephanie, is Joey joining, or is it just you and me today?
He might join in a little bit. He's just delayed in an appointment right now.
Perfect. So hello, everyone. Thank you for having us. I'm Julie Whelan. I'm an associate director with Nordicity. Nordicity, as you might recall, we're an international consulting firm, mainly working in the arts, culture, and creative industries. I've been with Nordicity over 10 years, and in that time have managed a wide range of projects from sector strategies, culture plans, feasibility studies, mainly in Ontario, but also in BC, where we have another office. I also work regularly with arts councils, artist unions, service organizations, and other arts organizations on their strategic plans and digital strategies. This has been a real area of focus for Nordicity the past kind of 5 years. On this project, I'm the main project manager, so your kind of hub for all things, your main point of contact, and we'll be coordinating between Jaimo and our team and yourselves and Donna. And I'm here as one person representing a really awesome team at Nordicity, everyone who brings their strengths, consultants that really bring their strengths in a number of domains, from stakeholder engagement, business modeling, strategic analysis, and so on. So thank you so much for having us, and I'll let Stephanie introduce Jaimo and talk a bit about their areas of expertise.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Stephanie Ma. I'm the creative director at Jaimo. Jaimo is an architecture firm. We're based in Toronto, but we work on projects all across Ontario. And we specialize in developing contextual and creative solutions that really focus on social, cultural, economic, and environmental sustainability. In particular, we also are focusing on often buildings that are existing, or how we can leverage existing places, the value in a community, in the heritage, in the facilities you already have. On that end, we are a heritage consulting firm as well as an architecture firm. So we're very excited about this project because we understand that Kawartha Lakes has a vast portfolio, and we're looking forward to see how we can leverage that and work with you on this cultural center. We've also been working with Nordicity on some other projects as well, so very happy to be partnering with Julie and bringing our combined experience together to you today.
I also meant to say that's also, I love working with Jaimo. So now I've got just a couple of slides, and I can share my screen. It looks like, I didn't think I had anything open here, and now I've got 100. Tell me if you can see that. Any thumbs up? Okay, I'm getting a nod from Barbara, who's one of the only people I can see here. Okay, so let me just, now do you get the next one there? You're okay?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So here's just, you've had our approach in the proposal, you've reviewed our proposal, but we thought we'd just go through it again very lightly to kind of situate ourselves in today. Right now, we think of ourselves as kind of pre-phase one. We're still in the kind of project initiation. We're having these kickoff meetings. We've put in an ask just last week only to Donna and her team for some content and inventories and material. So we're just about to get our, get right into it and into phase one, which is all about learning where you are, reviewing the past plans, your vision for the culture center or centers, ascertaining a little bit more about the spaces and places that already exist and how they're used. So we'll be reviewing all of that. We'll also do look at kind of evolving community demographics through a labor market analysis and what's called a net migration analysis, which goes a little deeper than a kind of a classic community profile. So we can kind of understand just what segments of the population are growing or kind of coming or going. So this really helps us understand the, situate ourselves in the present day, I suppose, in phase one. In phase two, we sort of shift, and it's all about community consultations. Oh, now I've just seen in the chat, you haven't seen our proposal. So at any point you can tell me to slow down, but I think you'll still get the main gist here, but I'll try to slow myself down here as well. So phase two is all about community consultation and consultation with the arts and culture sector in City of Kawartha Lakes. Here's, if any gaps or unknowns or sort of, questions that remain after our deep dive in phase one, we'll try to tackle and resolve here in phase two. We're not trying to duplicate work that's already been done. We know a ton of consultation has already happened, but how can we kind of take the pulse of where things are now and looking ahead? We'll look at some of the assumptions we're working with. We'll just confirm those, but while also really being open to hearing about new ideas, new possibilities, new solutions. So I'll just take a moment to say this is roughly, we've got 12 interviews, or I'll start with the survey. So the survey is a broad survey. It goes to members of the public as well as arts and culture stakeholders. There's kind of a few different streams you can take the survey as. And it can really give us, with the right promotion and right turnout, which we know is not always easy, but it can be a really rich source of data, and that helps inform the rest of the project, which is fantastic. The next circle in green there that you see, rectangle, interviews, 12 interviews with the kind of key cultural organizations and 3 roundtables. So in the roundtables, we can accommodate quite a lot of participation. How we stage and theme the roundtables, we still need to sort of develop in phase one, depending on where we land after phase one. But we'll put together a full engagement strategy for Donna and yourselves to take a look at. These will be virtual roundtables, of course, just given where we are, but we'll make sure they're engaging, accessible, and hopefully have a great turnout. So when we pull all of that material together, what we have is kind of an analysis of user needs and a bit of a sense of the market and the market demands. And we pull this together in the interim report for yourselves in January. And we should at that point have a really good grasp of the vision. And then in phase 3, we're looking more at the kind of the business model realities, like what are the costs involved, what is the location analysis, what's the the business model of it all and the operations, and JIMO as well take the lead here for their work. Stephanie, I don't know if you want to talk about any of these items, or if I've kind of covered it.
Sure. I mean, just very quickly, in terms of what we'd be looking at, we understand that, as Julie mentioned, there's already been a lot of great work done, so we don't want to repeat that. The first step will just be reviewing all of that work, things like there's already building condition assessments for the portfolio, I believe, so we'll review all that, narrow down what sites and locations we're looking at, also based on the community consultation, because of course that needs to be addressing community needs. And then depending on the level of detail we can get to there, that'll be how we develop design guidelines and facility recommendations in those next steps.
And we'll do all the kind of associated costs, but working with JIMO on that. Costs and revenue sources and also and fundraising and governance and all of that good stuff. In phase 4, we pull this all together into a series of reports and recommendations in the spring. Now we're hoping at this point it's not about surprises. We really want to keep you informed all the way through, so you're not you'll know what's coming. And I think what you can expect as an end product, or what we've been sort of asked to provide, is a clear, neutral assessment of the most feasible configuration of the cultural centers in Kawartha Lakes, and that really align with your goals, your goals and your anticipated growth for the future. So and meet the sector's needs and everything. So that's the kind of fast and furious approach overview. I'm going to go here now to the next, just to spend a little moment on inclusive stakeholder engagement. We know this is a big priority for City of Kawartha Lakes, taking an inclusive approach to our engagements and our consultations. We will, as I mentioned, be putting together our full engagement strategy that lays this all out in more detail. But some of our key principles are here just for kind of comfort or awareness. Being accessible and inclusive, actively seeking to elevate underrepresented or historically marginalized voices, ensuring meaningful collaboration with Indigenous communities, identifying key distribution partners and champions for the survey. Especially, we hope some of you around this virtual room right now are champions for promotion. Working with kind of known, especially digital and virtual gathering places, whether that be kind of online, Facebook and municipal networks and things, newsletters, all that good stuff. We facilitate in a very kind of accessible and inclusive way. We can meet all sorts of accessibility requirements. And also we know that this is a time of real kind of consultation fatigue, Zoom fatigue, survey fatigue. So we try to work to not make any of these feel like a burden, but really feel like people's voices are being heard and there's value in participating. So those are just some of our key principles, but we can lay them out in a lot more detail around the engagement strategy. So that went much quicker than I expected. So our last slide was just really whether, I don't know if we have time or if it's the forum for a bit of an open discussion, but would love to hear from you about any challenges you think we should be aware of, or alternatively possibilities, potential. What does success look like for you as a task force? How can we make this really, a positive process for yourselves? Just a couple of prompts here, but really happy to or answer any questions about, of course, this introduction.
Well, thank you, Stephanie and Julie. Thank you. I think that's a lovely opportunity to open it up to questions. And so, anybody? Tracy?
I said, we're all pretty quiet today, taking everything in. I want to take this opportunity to thank everybody that's on today, and recognizing that we have an incredible group of key representation in our arts and cultural sector here in State Kawartha Lakes. Plus, we have the most amazing city staff that have really helped us push this along, and we can't thank them enough for that as well. I love your approach and how you're giving me updates as you go through the process. I think that's going to be really critical for us to see, and to be able to have some conversation as we go along as well. So I don't know if any of the city staff have any pertinent questions when it comes to that timeline.
Thoughts, city staff, anything?
Well, I know it's a busy time of year for all of us, so I think all of us our minds are racing towards budget and whatnot too. So
just I would just, if I don't think I really have a question. It sounds really good, Julie and Stephanie, really, really good. Many of us around the table have been working for this for a while. So to actually be here, to be privy to this presentation is, and it's such a solid presentation. That's my feedback. So I'm sure I have lots of questions tonight. I'm thinking about it, but right now, it just sounds good. It sounds strategic. I think that's what I find so reassuring right now. And it sounds inclusive, and that's really important.
No, I'm so thrilled to hear that. And for sure, as you have your tonight thoughts and your next week thoughts, just if you want it, you can email me or work through Donna. We love, this is the time we love. If there's an article you want to share with us, an interview you think we won't have seen, or you know, we're getting a big data dump from the city or in the coming kind of week or two, so we know that we're excited about that as well. But you know, any material we love to kind of forage and gather and review, and so please feel free to, or questions or thoughts, you know, especially too on as we're developing those you know, roundtable streams or themes for each of those 3 roundtables. We'll be looking for support on, you know, who to invite and include. So lots of touch points to come.
Oh, thank you, Julie. Thank you for that offer. And I would just like to suggest to anyone that does have questions that they do go through Donna for forwarding to Julie. Thank you.
I would suggest that we share that little slide presentation as well, because, you know, having that kind of visual might spur on some additional questions.
I can send that to Donna for sure.
Thank you.
I would like to say also that welcome to the successful candidates in this process. For the committee, we've been working for many years to get to this point. Diane Lister, who has just resigned from our committee, was very active in getting us to this point. And Diane was our one representative that has been involved for the last several months, going through the process of selecting a candidate. For the other members of our committee, we've been for many months sitting on our hands and waiting for the process to continue. I just wanted to put it out there that our committee are very interested in being active as much as possible in this process, and making sure that things move forward expediently. So for me personally, I put out the offer to any time that you have something to bring to the committee, we're happy to convene and be helpful if we can. So welcome aboard.
Thanks, that's fantastic.
And that was a good suggestion, Tracy. Donna, is that possible to forward the PowerPoint presentation to the members so we can review it?
Yeah, no problem.
That's great. Thank you.
Just a quick question, and thank you so much for your presentation. It's wonderful. I'm so excited that this is happening. Will all of the engagement be virtual, or will you be actually on site in the city of Kawartha Lakes doing review?
It's a great question. We can do everything virtually, so I think we're still virtual first. I don't know if we've got kind of a we need to have almost a rethink. You know, I would say between now and June, you will see us, and you know, and we'll have our site visits and so on. Whether we'll be bringing, you know, 30 people into a room for a roundtable, I think we'll probably keep that virtual, but definitely will be in person, especially for the site visit or visits. But and yeah, I think if that's a priority, we can also work to see when the pockets where it makes sense and can be done in a, you know, really safe but effective way. But we're definitely still, I have to be honest, in a kind of a virtual first mode. But tours can mainly be outside, and we can be masked for the inside components, and we did well in Collingwood with that approach. So we can like that for sure is in person.
No, that sounds great. It's just, we have so much to offer here and we'd love for you to see it in person if you can, just for the site visits and seeing where everything is situated, because the city of Kawartha Lakes is so large and so wonderful and really dynamic in all the different areas. And then to get a sense of that in person would be great for you.
Oh, yeah.
And to really be able to take it all in.
For sure. Well, we'll try to make a weekend of it, you know, off the books, but yeah.
Okay. Donna? We're looking now. If there's no more questions for anybody, it looks like we're almost looking at discussing our next meeting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the terms of reference, there's no formal schedule for meetings. It's at the call of the chair. I would recommend that, given the phase 1 suggestions through Nordic City, that we sort of continue with the data dump from the staff perspective, and then working through, I'm not really sure if a point of order, but I would think working through the consultant and then through you, the chair, figure out the next touch point where they want to come back to the task force to get to share information, to get further direction, and also to provide a status update.
That sounds good.
Okay. All right.
Well, I guess we're moving into our adjournment. So once again, I just want to say thank you. This is going to be a red letter day in my calendar, in my diary. So thank you, everybody, and look forward to our next meeting and hearing the results of phase 1 as we start moving forward. So we need a final motion to adjourn.
Mm-hmm.
And Councillor Tracy Richardson, who would like to second it? Pat Murphy, thank you.
Thank you to everyone.
Yeah,
Right.
thanks everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Be in
Thank you.
touch. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.